Welcome, everybody, to the People, Purpose, and Profits Business Coaching Podcast. I'm Brian Buck, and my wonderful co-host is...
And I'm Kat.
And this is a special episode. We are approaching the holidays of 2020, and 2020 has been an interesting year, to say the least. There's been highs, there's been lows, there's been wins, there's been total pivots and changes of direction. And so we just want to use this to kind of talk about the last year. Kat and I wanted to do a little reflection on what our first 30 plus episodes, which is crazy to think since we started in August, but we do 2 a week, so they add up fast. So Kat, let's kick off. What's something about 2020 for you that you want to share with the audience, and something about our reflection, one of your reflections on our first few episodes?
Well, first of all, I'm extremely grateful to be here. So I really want to thank Brian for doing this with me. This has been an amazing journey. I've learned so much about what it means to be a better leader in the industry, what it means to show up with a big heart and understanding and a real drive to help people. So I really want to thank you for that, for the example that you've set for me and for those who are watching. It's been one of like the best journeys of 2020 for me and in my career as well as a coach, because I know it's been difficult to be on my own for a really long time. So this partnership has definitely shed a different light. So I think for me, in that sense, 2020 has brought a lot of great things. I know it has been definitely challenging, especially when I'm working with people on anxiety, and being someone who suffers from anxiety, I know that has caused a lot of uncertainty in this year. But if we, like you said, pivot and we become flexible in our approach, there's no telling what we can really do, what we can achieve when we set our mind to. And that community and that support is really crucial. And that was one of the best lessons that I've learned. And through teaching some of the things that we've talked about, is giving me a chance to reflect on the things that I know and how I help people, and also how I can serve with more focus. And that's been, just scratching the surface, literally, from 2020. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely have learned so much from you and your approach, and just even seeing how much I've appreciated just the energy on how, we talk about things that we both have expertise in, but the expertise is always different. And I love the energy of how you can bring in different stories or a different perspective. And like the word that keeps coming to my mind, because we didn't plan for this, but in a sense, even our conversation is helping me on my journey to mastery on the topics. Because I share what I know, you share what you know, and at the end, we both have come out better. And that's our goal for our audience as well. Because, it might be people like, when we did our gratitude episode, there's so much out there about gratitude. I was almost like, do we need to do another episode on gratitude? But it's one of the most critical things for people to know and to practice. And if even if you have even if you are doing gratitude, to hear it another way might make your gratitude better, or to hear it again if your practice of gratitude has slipped. So yeah, so to me, that has been something that I have really appreciated looking at 2020, and then even just launching a podcast. We haven't really gone into too many details, but you and I have had have 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 had a friendship and connection for a while. But to be able to go from a, hey, wouldn't this be a cool idea, to scheduled a month later, and to be able to have a system in place. And that is something that I think is probably a big accomplishment to be able to share, is how quickly can you go from an idea to execution?
Huge. And that's a prime example. And I really do think that if people are listening to this, they really need to hear that part. Once again, they need to go back. That is the difference that will make something possible, scheduling it and then getting into action.
Yeah. Well, and also just doing it. Because,
Right.
our first few episodes are just us talking. And then we said, well, what if we wanted to do interviews? And then a second episode. And then we started to find lots of amazing people. I mean, that's one thing. You and I learned a lot from each other when we bring in the people we interview. It's just like the
It's
learning just goes off the roofs and, or roof, anyways, roofs, something like that. So,
oh my
anything else
God.
you want to add to
Yeah,
that?
I do want to just remind people that you have within you a treasure that needs to unfold, and only you can discover that. And to trust that you, just like everybody else, have what it takes to make it happen in the world. I heard someone recently kind of like be a little deflated, and that's the reason why I'm bringing this up, because he said to me, "Well, it's only the few, it's only the lucky." And, for as long as I've been in the space, it's, if there is one common denominator, is that it's never, ever, ever about luck. And it's all about perseverance. It's all about showing up. It's all about knowing what you really want and then going after that full in.
I love that. Let me add a piece of advice for our listeners as well, our audience. Um, Recently was working with someone who, and I've struggled with this, so this is why it resonated with me, was having a lot of self shame and negative self talk, negative self image, because she was comparing herself to where she wanted to be. And that's so common, especially for those of us who are visionaries, who, there's a journey. Like, some people don't even believe they deserve to be where they want to go. I'm someone who's always thought I've deserved where I want to go, but I haven't got there yet. And then there's this tension to be
There's
there.
something wrong, right?
Right. And, but it just made me think, as coaches, as people who have studied successful people, it's all about the baby steps. It's all about the little steps. If we just keep making little steps, we're going to get there. And the most successful people know you only compare yourself to yourself. And this woman, she knew, I'm better than I was yesterday. I know where I'm going, but she still had this I'm not there gap. And it just made me think, if we truly believe in the baby step, why do we compare ourselves to the giant leap version?
Well, you're not supposed to begin with. I don't know exactly why they
Yeah,
do, but one of the things that I tell people is to embody it. That's a completely
yeah,
different concept. But I
yeah,
would love to hear what is it for you or for her that made it like so painful.
yeah. Well, it really was a form of impatience, and it was, and for her, it was becoming something overwhelming. It just always seemed like something that was out there. And so compare yourself to the baby step, and compare yourself to yesterday. And then if you want to look in the future, you should just focus on the next baby step. There's this thing, and I probably have talked about in this episode, it's called Toyota Kata, but they talk about success, which is, you are here and where you want to go is far away, and that you only have a flashlight and you can only see the first few steps in front of you. And to me, that was what helped her and what has helped me. Instead of going, oh, that mountaintop is so out there, just focus on the first few steps, and allow yourself the presence of
Absolutely.
today and the baby step I'm going to take. And that really helps drive so much of that down.
I would really love to put everything you said in a little bit of like a metaphor for people so that
Mm.
it's really easy to grasp as a concept. You're basically getting in your car and you're putting your direction into GPS, right? And it's
Mhm.
nine outside. But first of all, you have to know where you want to land. So you want to know the destination. And once you plugged in that, your GPS will tell you the directions, but it will not show you the road. So you first have to turn on your lights, and you can only see maybe 100, 200 feet in front of you. And as you travel, then the night turns into day. So when that happens, you're going to be able to see much further, and you're going to be able to see things with much clarity. But that GPS will be literally what carries you to your destination.
Well said. Well, we just want to wish everyone an amazing holiday season. Make sure you join our Facebook group so that way you can interact with Kat and I and other listeners. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also for the audio, check out your podcatcher of choice. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, everybody.
See you soon. Happy holidays.
Yay.